difference?
The difference is that Jay-Z is a very, very talented businessman, and he's a rapper who's created a brand, Jay-Z, and he created a clothing line, and he figured out how to capture increasing percentages of the revenue streams that result from his music, from his live performance, and from his image. Kanye West is an artist. That's what he is, and that's really all he is. He has control over the music that he produces. He creates incredible effects with language, and he has this hunger for expression and for emotional connection that Jay-Z lacks.
Well, in fact, you point to a couple of moments on the tour, one in which Kanye West does something that he, at every stop it seems fresh. It's when he calls for turning the lights up. Right before the song, all of the lights. Let's listen to a little of that.
I want to do it like how we did in practice. I want to have all the lights up here, all the shit, all that. I want New Orleans to get what they paid for when they want to see
It sounds great. I want people to get what they paid for. But as you say, it wasn't impromptu. He did it at every stop.
Now, the all the lights moment was kind of funny because in each city people reacted to it. They were expecting some, Kanye moment where he goes a little bit nuts. And so people, when they heard this, didn't understand they were listening to a kind of self-parody of, a Kanye moment. This had been built into the script. And there was something sad about the highly scripted nature of the show. To anyone who's followed Kanye, it was very obvious that he had decided, because of this meltdown of his public image, which threatened his ability to be an artist, that he had to sort of yoke himself to Jay-Z, this very, very controlled performer, follow a script, and redeem himself by showing that, in fact, he could be very controlled. Now, of course, his virtue as an artist is not that he's controlled. That's Jay-Z's virtue as an artist. And so following the trip across the country, part of the drama for me was, you have this artist who is trying to redeem himself and refloat his career, and yet the person that he's chosen to ally himself with would seem to promise a kind of artistic death to Kanye. And how is he going to get out of this trap? On one hand, he needs Jay-Z. He needs to stay on script. At the same time, if he does that, that's what Jay-Z's good at. That's not what Kanye's good at. And he sort of found a few holes in that, and the best one was this track on the record, Niggas in Paris.
Don't let me get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. The stars is in the building. They hands to the ceiling. I know I'm about to...
And he sort of turned this one song into a half-hour-long sort of Kanye West freeform extravaganza where they do the song first 3 times, then 4 times, then 8 or 9 times in a row, until it became this weird kind of abstract art, listening to the same song over and over and over and over and over again, and Kanye West getting more and more excited. And you'd watch Jay-Z kind of enjoy it, just thinking to himself, this is something I'd never do, but it's crazy, and this guy next to me is kind of crazy, and so I'll just let myself go and enjoy it. And in that way, I sort of saw Kanye reclaiming his artistic selfhood, as it were.
But there was one stop in L.A. where he went off script, and this seems to be part of what you're saying, had this sort of impassioned moment with the audience.
I made it from 3 years ago on the brink of motherfucking suicide to coming back and making 2 albums and having the most nominations than anybody. Because I told y'all the truth. Because I told y'all what y'all felt. People always say, be humble, be humble, be humble. When's the last time somebody told you, be great, be amazing, be awesome?
You felt in that moment something very true coming from him, this push to not just be good, not just be great, not just sell records, but to transcend some standard that he's created for himself and to keep doing that over and over and over again. And that, to me, is the mark of a real artist. And, I think the comparison to Mozart, of course, it's half tongue-in-cheek, but it's also real. And it's real in the good qualities, the pursuit of greatness, his mastery over these multiple forms, the same way Mozart was able to master the symphony and opera, and the petulance and childlike nature of his artistic creation, the way in which he doesn't understand the careerism and the calculation of other people.
But give me an example of where you hear, even if half in jest, Kanye West as America's Mozart.
You know, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, the record that he released and that was up for a Grammy this year, I think that's the best pop music record of the last 10 years.
We at war. We at war with terrorism, racism, but most of all, we at war with ourselves.
There's an emotional nakedness combined with an inventiveness, with melody, an ability to sing, to rap, to create an entirely new sonic texture, and to do that using everyone from John Legend to Chris Rock, beats from the 60s, 70s, 80s. There's just an encyclopedic breadth and ease of reference and inventiveness there. And this is a form, people don't make albums anymore. The album kind of disappeared, 15 or 20 years ago. The ability to do that, and to do that with such emotional clarity and depth and such inventiveness is really, it's a kind of genius. And we look at pop music and we say, oh, anyone who works in this debased form automatically is not a Mozart or they're not a Beethoven. But those were the, forms they were working in too. Yeah. In fact, Mozart's particular genius rested on his ear for snatches of popular melody and the ability to transform and transfigure them in some larger, aesthetically more complex way, and Kanye has that same ability.
That's David Samuels, a contributor to The Atlantic. You can find a link to his piece, American Mozart, at hereandnow.org. Thank you so much.
Great.